We should have him like walk past.
Yes.
I love Toni. She's the best. Okay. I would like to see that. Oh my gosh. There's always next time. I hear us. Okay.
Have audio.
We have audio.
Should be all synced up here, and whenever you're ready.
All right. Fantastic. Wow. This is a pretty exciting day. Thanks to anyone and all the people. I know Jonathan's watching.
We're expecting him to walk by at any moment.
Yeah. This is our very first live, Instagram Live, coming to you from downtown Main Street in the Woodshop, the Union Woodshop. We're extremely excited and grateful to have the opportunity to film Season 3, our beginning. This is the beginning of the new chapter of fun and exciting connecting Clarkston. Katie and I are especially grateful to the Catellos for giving us this chance to show live here, film here. We've got the Woodshop in the background. We've got Main Street happenings. We're wondering and hoping that we have our crowd gathered behind us. Good Morning America style.
You have like 20 minutes, so if you're out close by, feel free to pop up. Bring a sign.
Bring a sign. Before
we also want to say thank you to Michael Rosenkrantz from Independence Television, who we literally picked up and dragged here this morning. So.
He's very helpful.
On his day off. And we're like, Michael, we don't know if you've watched any of our lives, but we could actually use assistance. So
he is adding a level of professionalism, which, if you saw how the camera is balanced on the light, you would. We'll post a picture later.
We do not want to tie that to Michael. That was our own. He had to work with what we gave him, and it involves zip ties.
Yes, very, very resourceful. Before we start our first episode here of Season 3, I wanted to give a little update about some of the union happenings. So we have new general store hours for the summer, and it is Wednesday through Sunday. They're now open 12 to 8. There is ice cream available, so that's a fun summer treat.
I think they still have some Clarkstonopoly boards.
Yep, so they're also retailing those.
Yeah.
And then the Woodshop here has a great happy hour special happening, and I don't want to say it incorrectly.
I'm pulling it up right now, so I say the right thing.
We'll use our resources.
So it's Monday through Thursday from 4 to 6, and they have $5 specials on some of their drinks and also some of the appetizers. So we actually shared that to our Instagram feed yesterday, and of course the Woodshop has it posted on their social media. So
fantastic.
Yeah.
So for our first episode in Season 3, we have a really special guest here today. Toni Smith is here, and she's been very patient as we set up in our new location. And Toni is very familiar with all things Clarkston. She is the director of the Clarkston Heritage Historical Museum.
Just Clarkston Heritage Museum.
Dang it, I knew I was going to get that wrong. So the whole time, like, I'm going to say it wrong. If you've been to the library, there's a fantastic display there of all things Clarkston history. So thank you for joining us. Welcome. We appreciate it. We also had her husband on the podcast a month or so ago.
Yeah.
The city manager, the Village of Clarkston manager, Jonathan. So what a power couple we have here in Clarkston. And we're grateful that you've come and been patient with all of our setup here.
Yes.
No problem.
Thank you. No problem. Yeah. So can we start with your connection to Clarkston? I know you've been here quite a while. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Was not born and raised here. I think we've been here about 4 years, maybe, and have always been active in the Historical Society. Jonathan just started his job after he retired from Chrysler, so I don't know how many years he's been city manager. Sometimes it seems endless, sometimes, but I think it's maybe 8 years, something like that. And we've both been part of the Historical Society, but I've been the museum director for 26 years. Since we opened the museum in 1999, and then I was helping before that, so 26 years. Yeah.
Okay. And did you just have an interest in history or in Clarkston, or is it a mesh of
both of us always have had an interest in history and antiques and that kind of a thing, and so for me, I ended up as the director because I helped with the opening of the museum, and at the time Everything they collected was in big piles and drawers, and I really like to organize big messes. That's something I enjoy doing. Don't ask me why. Yeah. And so I volunteered to do that, and that just morphed into the director's job. So,
Fantastic. And for people who don't know, can you talk about the mission of the?
The Historical Society started in the early 70s. It started when MDOT wanted to widen Main Street to a 4-lane highway. And so by designating the area a historical district, then that stopped MDOT from their plans. And so that was the beginnings of the Historical Society, but now really what we focus on, our mission is to preserve and educate. So we probably have 6,000 to 8,000 artifacts, photos. I mean, we have things that go back to the 1830s. We have a large space behind the museum that is where we archive most of our collection, but we also have 2 additional storage units for large items. And then we run the museum, obviously, but then we also run educational programs. We've worked with the schools for children's programs. We've printed out 4 books. And more currently, what we are focusing some of our money in is the historic markers. We call them wayside signs, but they're the markers that you see that are throughout town. I think we're at maybe 16 and about to add 3 more in the next week. So all of those within the village are created, paid for, and supported by the Historical Society.
Wow, how does that get? Sorry,
real quick. I just had a question. So when you were saying that you guys started when MDOT wanted to widen this road,
Right.
So had that happened,
There
like
would be
all of these buildings would have gone.
Would have probably gone.
Okay.
Most of the houses would be right on the road, and thereby probably derelict and not, it's hard to say, but most people don't want to sink money into something that's on the highway.
Yeah.
So the whole fiber of the city would be different.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's fantastic. And how do you decide what these next historical markers will be? You said there's 16 currently, or?
Close to it. I didn't look at my numbers before I came, but yeah. There's more actually in the community because we worked with the township. They came to us, we gave them the content, and they put I think 9 or 10 out in the township. So it's actually Clarkston and the surrounding area. They're all over Michigan, but we have one of the largest groupings of them, I think. They're about $2,000 a marker, and the Historical Society pretty much foots that bill. And or in cases of sometimes people come to us and say, I have a historic home, I'm willing to help with the price, that will facilitate, because we can really only afford to do a couple a year. So sometimes, and in the case of the 3 that are going up next week, 2 of them are being paid for by the homeowners. But they have to have a home that we have a history on.
So my mom's side of the family are Grundles from White Lake, and they have a historic farmhouse. And I think in order, is it 100 years? And you have to go through all of these things basically to get it.
That's to be a designated historic structure.
Okay.
We don't necessarily require that. We're just looking for an interesting history in the building, and it doesn't have to be 100 years. I mean,
Okay.
the mill building was one of those.
Okay.
That particular building isn't 100 years old, but the site is, and the original mill was. And so we'll talk about the whole history of a structure, not just, we're not just about what it was doing in 1830.
Okay.
So
Interesting.
yeah.
And how do you guys get funded? Do you have an annual fundraiser? How does that?
Art and Village.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's
I
your
mean, we are the sole people behind Art in the Village, and we really don't get help from the city. There's not help. There's no funding from the city. There's no funding from the township, other than the fact that we share space with the library. So they're paying. So there are some partnerships there.
Yeah.
But Art in the Village is our sole fundraiser. That and the fact that many years ago we had a home donated on Main Street to us, and we sold with the understanding that we would sell it, and that is in an endowment fund for us, and so we try to keep that principle there, and we use some of the interest. But that's what funds the museum, and membership, but membership's small, and it doesn't you know.
And when is Art in the Village?
September 21 and 22 this year.
Okay. We'll put that up.
And yeah, it's really the booth sales, and we feel like Art in the Village. I mean, there are a lot of other things that happen in town, but this will be the 52nd year. We stopped for 1 year during COVID,
Yeah.
but 52 years of this. So it started in the early to mid 70s, and so that's you know, it gets. We have families who've been coming to Art in the Village for generations.
Yeah.
You know, they started and then they had their own kids, and now grandma and the parent and children and their grandchildren all come down, and there's free activities, and you know, we do have a couple of tents. We have an antique tent and a merchandise tent. We sell cider and donuts. Those help with the bills. But yeah.
With the Heritage Museum, I meant to run in and check my facts on this, or what I'm about to say, so hopefully you can
I'll trust you.
know what I'm going to say here. But whenever we pop into the library, we always have to pop into the museum and take a look around. And a couple weeks ago, we were at the cemetery, Lakeview.
Yep.
And we stopped and visited a couple, and then we were driving out, and Patty's like, we have to go back. Is it Dr. Goodenough?
Yes. Isn't that hysterical?
Yes, she's like, we have to go see Dr. Goodenough, which I was thinking, that's just an interesting name.
Isn't that great? Like when you
Yeah.
say who's
Yes.
my doctor is good enough.
And I was thinking, I can't believe her eye caught that. Why did she pick up on that? I didn't realize it was because she had seen it in the Heritage
His
Museum.
books are are on display right now.
So we circled back through and we looked
Oh,
at
that's
it. And then
good.
she said, yeah, Mom, it's in the library, in the museum.
Yep.
So I thought that was very cool.
When my office is behind the doors there, and so if my door's open, I often hear kids come in and say, just the other day I heard a little boy come in and he said, you have to see all the living history in here. And I thought, oh my gosh. So
You're
yeah.
drop the mic on.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
So it's
That's
really, it's taught in the schools. Our goal is that children appreciate local history, so that when they're in charge of it, they don't want to rip it down.
Yeah.
You know,
Right.
there's value to it.
Absolutely.
And when you talked about the books, the 4 books, are those for sale?
Yes,
Ace?
they're
Are those the
for
books
sale
that
at the
I see?
library.
Okay.
All 4 of them are. They're also online. I believe all 4 are online.
Okay.
And then what people usually do is they just pay for it online, and then I just bag it up and put it behind the circulation desk, and they pick it up anytime.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's good to
Yeah.
know.
And are there hours for the museum, or is it the same?
The
as
museum is the same as the
library?
library, which is what the beauty of it is for us. We could have used that home that was donated to us and opened a house museum. But house museums are open on Wednesdays between 1 and 4.
Right.
You know, so this way people can come self-educate by walking through and,
Right.
you know, and then we change the exhibits twice a year. And it's a big deal. We have to close for a couple of weeks, totally tear everything out, rebuild. We're on a different theme. And I think we're at maybe exhibit 35, something like that.
Wow.
So we reinvent the wheel
Yeah.
every time. Yeah.
It's very fun. So people obviously can come into the museum at the library. Are there other ways the community can get involved in addition to that?
Well, they can help at Art in the Village.
Volunteers needed?
Volunteers,
Okay.
always volunteers needed.
Okay.
We, excuse me, we do have, you know, other things that we do. Mainly, even if you just join the Historical Society, it's a grand total of, I think, like $40 for the year. It's not a lot of money, but it helps to give us that support that we need. And
Is there a website for that?
Yep, you can do it on the website. And we have, you know, speaking of things that we have coming up, like you know, we have a ghost walk coming up.
Yeah.
Which
And
is,
I want to hear about the Ghost Walk for sure. And I think I know you sent me the link,
Yeah.
and I went to the website because I don't even know if you were supposed to buy tickets yet.
you can now.
But I did.
Yep.
About
Oh,
7.
good.
And I looked, and other people are buying them too. Other people are too.
Oh, yeah,
and
we
I'm
sell out.
This is going to sell out so fast.
Yeah, we
And
always
so
sell out.
It's super exciting, and I do want to talk about that. But if anybody's watching, you have to hold on a couple more minutes. Don't leave. Couple of things, and I know we emailed, and Ann and you were discussing the history of the Woodshop building.
Yes.
Where we are. Can
Yes.
you give us a little bit of info on that?
Yeah. Originally there were 4 wooden buildings here, so if you actually go outside and look, this is a very big building. And it's kind of almost in the same, the society is one part of it, but society, then this, the other side, and this section, and then the next side, those were the kind of in the same basically configurations of the 4 wooden buildings, which were 1800s buildings, but burnt in, I want to say my crib notes are somewhere, but 1925, 26 they burned. And then a little group of businessmen got together, and their names are up in, that's why you see Landis above here, and I think there's another, so, you know. So those are the businessmen who got together and built the brick building. They called it the brick block at the time. The Clarkston Cafe opens in, they were all individual shops, and there was a variety store here, a 5 and dime store, there was a pool hall here, a little early Kroger's store was in here at one time. And so eventually the Clarkston Cafe comes in I think the 1940s, early 1940s.
Oh wow, that long ago.
Yeah, and so they were, if I get it right, I think they started on this end, branched into this section. But then Woodshop, I believe, buys it in 2010, or Union Joints buys it in 2010, and it becomes their version of the Clarkston Cafe for a little while, and then the Woodshop changes over to the Woodshop, and then they expanded it. So they have really 3 sections of a 4-section building.
The brick block.
Yes, of the brick block, yeah. And the only reason that the terrace building next door didn't burn is that little alley between the two, because that's as early. Actually, the terrace building next door, the blue building, is the earliest building in town. People don't realize that because it's been recovered.
After the Masons building? Or
Before. They're like 40s, 50s. They're really early. Yeah,
wow.
They've just been re-clabbered, sided, so you don't realize how old that building is.
So do they have to maintain, when people do this, do they have to maintain something inside the building to
Well,
you know?
And that brings up a good question. The Historical Society and the Clarkston Historic District Commission, HDC, are 2 totally separate entities. There's a lot of confusion about that, and we keep trying to pound it home, but then somebody will run around town and say, oh, they're the same, and no, we're not. We're not connected. I mean, we're all friendly, but that's where it ends.
are there any overlap with members?
We have 1 board member who's on both
Okay.
committees. But this is a small town. That
Yeah,
doesn't
right.
mean anything.
Oh, yeah, no, I'm just saying,
yeah.
it seems like if you're super interested in the history. I
Then
can
you're
see you being
interested,
involved,
right? Yeah. I mean, so I think there's a lot of confusion about that, and I often get calls at the office. Well, can I paint my house?
Right.
Not us.
Yeah.
You know, really
Yeah,
not
sure,
us.
go for
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. 2 separate boards, 2 separate funding, 2 separate everything, and we're a nonprofit 501c3. So so anyways, to your question, what can be done to your historic building is the HGC.
Got it. Okay.
And thankfully they do keep, otherwise this would, people would have changed a lot of this.
Oh,
so,
absolutely. Yeah.
So we're grateful for what they do, but we're really about preserving, educating the community. We're about local history. That's really what we're about.
And then I think too, we had wanted to ask you about the Mesa. I mean, I feel
Yes.
like we might have to have you back continuously just to
sorry.
give us info on all these different cool things in our community.
There's a lot of great stories.
Yeah. Okay, so with Clarksonopoly, we had gone to different, organizations, and we put it in the paper and looking for people that wanted to join the game board. And the Masons had contacted us, and they really wanted to be like one of the cards. So the Chamber of Commerce is the back of one of our cards, and then the Masons are the back. And they basically made the case. They're like, we've been here, I'm going to say the longest, I might be saying the wrong word.
You're not wrong.
But, and then they also said we paved Main Street, or brick paver, or something. Like there was something with Main Street. So I guess any history that you have on the Masons just would be interesting. And then it was kind of fun too when you were coming on to talk about the Ghost Walk, that they are supporting you with that. And so it felt like a good time to kind of.
They're great.
Yeah.
They're great to have in the community, and they have been. They started before the brick Masonic building. It was a white clapboard storefront, 2 stories, and it was owned by well, at one time, not all the whole time, but it was owned by Nicholas Bonaparte Smith. And I always remember that because I love Nicholas Bonaparte. And the Masons started meeting, now they could correct me, and again, I don't have my crib notes, but it's like 1850. So they start meeting upstairs in that building. And continuously meet in that building until, I'm not quite sure, about 1916, they built the brick building that's there. And so in 1922, the brick building had a fire that did some damage on the, what would be the north wall, which I think they say if you go around and you look up, you can still see fire damage. Oh, wow. And so there was a parade and carnival that they held to earn money to repair the Masons building. And I'm not sure that the fact that they paved Main Street, I'm not sure that I really have heard that.
It's not the right.
The thing is, in 1922, they did pave Main Street, but I think that was the state that did that. I'm not really sure whether the Masons did it, but they might know something I don't. That's,
Or I could have just made that up.
Well, no. The thing is, what's confusing is I have a great big long photo. It's like what they call a foot long, but it's longer than that. And it's like 3 foot long, and it's the whole town on Main Street. And it was to celebrate, 1, the paving, and 2, to hold a carnival for the Masons. So the two were together. Yeah.
Are there any little known facts that you want to share or could share, like about our town?
There's lots of great facts. I tried to, at this further moment, think of a couple ones. Albert Hammond was our rural post mail carrier, and he was awarded that rural route. It was 30 miles long, which would have been done by horse and buggy.
Real quick, I feel like this is exciting.
We have somebody. It's
yes. We have parking enforcement.
We have parking enforcement.
I thought Jonathan
I'm
showed
pretty
up.
sure I parked legally.
Hopefully Tony's not getting a ticket.
No, I parked. Yeah, I'm good. Yeah.
We're all
I know.
good here.
Yeah,
We're all good. All right. An important part of our town.
Yes.
Thank you for your service. Okay.
But I don't know where it was.
The postmaster.
The postmaster. But he was like one of the first awarded mail carrier routes in the state of Michigan. Was in Clarkston, and it was 30 miles long. And so he did that, so that puts us on the history books a little bit. And then Walden Road is named after Colonel Walden, who developed Pine Knob and built his mansion up on the top of the hill. But he did more than that. He was a very active aviator. He flew with the Wright brothers. Wow. Went on multiple safaris and was instrumental in helping to develop the United States Air Force in the 1930s and 40s.
Who knew that?
So,
Mr. Walden?
That's Walden Road we drive on.
Yeah.
We had lots of congressmen, people coming out of the village, and in fact, N.B. Smith's son was a U.S. congressman.
This is Bonaparte Smith?
Bonaparte, yep.
Okay.
So,
okay.
there's lots of interesting things in town.
Well, I also think it's cool to go through town and see some of see things that you may not know are historical markers, like the cement blocks that people used to step off the carriage.
Right, their horse.
The little horse
things. Those were carriage dismounts.
Yeah.
I
think it's easy to go by, through town all the time and not really see some of the historical significance hidden here and there.
And even to take time to look up at some of the buildings and really realize,
Well, speaking of the buildings, the Masons, because when they were on, they did give a hint about the haunting happening.
Yes.
And like a year ago, I made us these really fancy hunter shirts that we wore one time. Because we were like, we want to do a ghost something. And so this is amazing, and we're happy that you are doing it.
Yes. Tell us about this ghost walk. Let's hear
Well, we've done them before. I think the last one was in 2013. And it wasn't because, you have to take a break because we do them in the summer, and it takes your summer. So, when the board comes to me and says, let's do another ghost walk, I'm like,
there goes the summer.
Yeah, there goes my summer. But it was time, and there's still a tremendous interest in them. We basically sell 300 tickets. We have to cap it because you go in a tour with a guided walk by the tour guide, will take you to, I think in this case we have 8 or 9 stops. And at each stop there's a costume storyteller that tells you, now we do ours in August because this isn't about people aren't dressed like Frankenstein and vampires. It's not a Halloween event.
Right.
It's a historic, haunted history is the best way to describe it. So everything we say is kind of based in history, but some of them are very creepy.
Okay.
And so that's, you get walked through, and Masons, they're one of our best stops, and we take our guides upstairs. And
which isn't normally a thing they let you do, right? This is a big deal.
Yeah,
Okay.
and I have a friend who was helping me with this, and she went upstairs, and she's lived in town for, 30, 40 years. Nobody's ever been up there.
Yeah.
And it's a very interesting building, and it's very interesting upstairs. And they are flat out, oh yeah, we've got, we even know who it is.
Yeah.
So,
My husband is a Mason. I have been up there.
Oh, okay.
And I do feel like it's a smidge creepy.
It's
Even if they're not
well, it's a
creepy
very kind of sacred.
Yeah.
So
I feel like that's very cool.
And when we've had our ghost walks in the past, we have people who come with the little, I don't know what they are, with the little meters that tell them. And then I had people sending me pictures later that said, look at the orbs. And
Really?
oh yeah.
Oh,
so
okay.
it's a fun event. It's a Saturday night. It's mostly adults. We say 10 and older, but really it's mostly adults.
Yeah.
And a lot of people like to come into town, have dinner, and then go walk around. And
Possibly at the Woodshop.
yeah, exactly. Here, right here.
That's right.
Yeah.
And when is the event?
It's Saturday night, August 17th. Like you say, tickets are off our website or Facebook. A website, I'm not sure if that's live yet, but Facebook has it. And
I put it on our website, Connecting Clarkston, Instagram. I
yeah,
linked it a bunch
thank
of
you.
places
Yeah,
also.
yeah. And they do sell out quickly, and they are in batches of 20 depending on time frame. So if you want a particular time frame, you kind of got to get in there. It starts at 8. We say it runs till 11. It's not unusual for us to still be going at 11:30, but
The ghosts don't sleep.
Yeah.
yeah, no, they don't. That's true. But your actors do. So
We are doing a giveaway in our app right now, so if you download the Connecting Clarkston app and go to the giveaway section, you can enter to win a couple of tickets.
oh, great.
But I do feel like if you know for sure you want to go, you should just buy your tickets right now, because if you don't win, then you won't be able to go, because they're going to sell out.
Well, in the past, we've had like 3 or 4 or 5, or one was a group of 20 couples who bought and all went together. So it's a fun thing.
And are the actors volunteer?
Yeah,
Okay.
we still need a couple. If anybody out there has a need for, we still need a couple, but we've got time. But the actors are volunteers, and all the tour guides are volunteers, and they have little snippets of things that they say in between the walks. So it's not, and we're getting the candelabras ready,
And how long is the walk? Because you start in Depot.
You start in Depot, and honestly, it's really made. I guess how do you define a block? Is it once down and or all the way around?
Yeah.
We say you need to be prepared to walk 4 blocks.
Okay.
I don't know that I'd consider it really that far.
Okay.
It's really downtown here.
Okay.
Yeah.
A little bit behind, but it's not like you're walking down to 75 and back or any of that kind of thing.
It's really fun. And we have shirts already, so
We're prepared.
We're very
Oh,
prepared. The shirts Katie made a year ago.
Yeah.
Oh, the shirts that say,
We can find them.
Yeah, we're hoping to have a local, like a ghost team there at check-in, so that they'll have like a little program running. We're kind of working on that, and So.
If anybody has information for or would like to volunteer or get in touch with you, what's the best way people can get in touch with
They
you?
can call the office, actually, or go to our website. All the information is there.
Can we share what that website is?
Yeah, it's just Clarkston Historical, ending in CAL, so clarkstonhistorical.org.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good to know.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure, people are, we're interested, a lot of people are very interested, not only in the history, but the ghost tours. It's just a different take
Well, I
on
think
this
even when you go to
similar
different
idea.
towns, I know, like, a lot of times when we
Yeah.
travel, we'll do their ghost tour.
Yeah.
So So it's really
That's
fun
how it
to have
started.
one here.
Yeah. It started because years ago we were going to, like, our family was going to, we went to one in London, we went to one on Nantucket, we went, Boston. So those are really a lot of fun. And I just thought, if we can stir up enough ghosts, let's make it
Oh
work.
my gosh, it's great. We did add it in the app and the calendar as well. And then I guess I just wanted to mention a couple of things happening this weekend too before we get ready to wrap up.
Yes.
The Sunflower Market is open.
At the Clarkston Family Farm.
Yes.
Yep. Junebird Coffee will be down in Depot this weekend.
Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Concerts in the park happening on Friday. Whiskey Business.
Whiskey Business is
Ian's
playing.
brother.
Shout out. They're playing at the Eagles off Maybe on Saturday night. And actually their shows, John was saying, sold out last time, but this Saturday's is outside, so it probably won't sell out. But
There's unlimited room.
sounds like a good time, yeah.
There's a concert at Pine Knob, and I'm trying to think what else. I know there were quite a few things, but if you haven't downloaded the Connecting Clarkston app yet, you should, because there's a lot of things happening this weekend, and then the giveaway for the Ghost Walk.
Yeah, all good stuff. Before we let you go, is there another guest you can recommend we have come on and chat with us? I'd like to ask everybody.
Oh gosh. Well, I thought about possibly if you want to try Amy Wilson. She's on our board, but she's also very active in the Christmas market downtown. So that's, would be coming up eventually. But maybe just even somebody from the HTC or somebody from, one of the other local charities that are trying to really get their word out. So,
Look at a past member on our podcast walking by now. How interesting is that? Yes, we didn't plan that. So I like the idea of someone from the HGC so they can say, we are the people to contact.
They need, let's clear this up. And they're a good group too, so.
Fantastic. Well, we really appreciate it. Before we let you go though, can you talk about what we have on the
I brought a few things. So I think another thing people maybe aren't aware of is that Clarkston started as a farming community, but really moved into becoming a tourist community. A tourist stop in the early 1900s. At one time they were adding like 12 extra train cars for passengers to get out here because of our lakes. So, like any tourist place, you got a mug or you got something that had Clarkston on it. So we all think this is new, but it's not new. And then I brought a couple of photos, which you can't really share, but and then these are little tokens for H&H pool room, which was in this building at one time. So you could go in and play 5 cents or 25 cents worth of pool. So we have those. And then this side, we'll always love these. This is a scrapbook from the 20s. And it's a young girl's, and it has things like all the parties that she went to. We have little dance cards with the pencil still attached. So those are the kinds of things that it's our mission to preserve, so that they're available to future generations.
This just made me think, because I think I saw, do you personally have stuff for sale at maybe Yellow Dog?
Oh,
that's going to be real weird if the answer is no.
Yes, Jonathan and I do.
Yeah, so tell us
and our
about
daughter,
that.
We've been antique dealers.
Maybe I've seen your daughter on Instagram.
You probably
like in a crazy basement.
Oh yeah, that would be her.
Yes.
So that would definitely be her. Jonathan and I came from antique collecting families, so from the time we were married many decades ago, we've been antique dealers and collectors and then dealers, and so we do some fairly large shows out of state. But then we had the opportunity to open up, and we have a space at Yellow Dog. You can't miss it. It's like one of the bigger spaces in the far corner. And Bailey, our daughter, also has her own business, and she does mid-century and a lot of that kind of thing. And so she's at the Rabbit Hole and at Yellow Dog with us. So it's not just, we try to do more eclectic things. That's kind of what we collect now. It's not Victorian furniture or that kind of stuff. It's more interesting stuff. So that's at Yellow Dog now, and so we're in history no matter what direction we go.
Love it.
Yeah, thanks for helping preserve it all for all of us.
We enjoy it.
All right, well, let's
Gotta like what you do.
Yeah.
let's do a cheers
We have
to
to do a
that.
little
Yeah,
cheers.
do a little cheers, a little. Thank you so much. We appreciate
You're
your time.
welcome. Yeah, it was fun.
All right, I think we're good. And then we just
Yes.
figure out how to.
I think you just hit that X.